Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Weiner, Democratic candidate for mayor of the city of New York. I have said that other texts and photos were likely to come out, and today they have. Right. As I've said in the past, these things that I did were wrong and hurtful to my wife and caused us to go through many challenges in our marriage that extended past my resignation from Congress. While some of the things that have been posted today are true and some are not, there is no question that what I did was wrong. This behavior is behind me. I've apologized to my wife, Huma, and I'm grateful that she has worked through these issues with me and that I've had her forgiveness.
All right, folks, so welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show as we kick off the Wednesday edition. That was Anthony Weiner yesterday at his press conference. I understand the pressure is building on Anthony Weiner to drop out of the race. He said he's surprised. Well, why don't we play the next cut? And maybe I could throw the drum roll in the cut. Listen to cut number 55. I'm sorry, did I throw you guys a curve? Cut 55. Okay, that's not it. That's not it. Okay, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it.
49 days left until primary day. Perhaps I'm surprised that more things didn't come out sooner. I'm responsible for this behavior that led us to be in this place, but in many ways things are not that much different than they were yesterday. This behavior that I did was problematic, to say the least, destructive, to say the most, caused many stresses and strains in my marriage, but I'm pleased and blessed that she has given me a second chance.
All right. He's surprised things didn't come out sooner. You heard me give the little, there you go. Okay. Anthony Weiner, in my opinion, and we're going to talk to America's psychologist, Dr. Gadir, in just a moment, Jeffrey Gadir, and he will tell us what he thinks of Anthony Weiner. I think Anthony Weiner, as many before me have said today and in the past, and I've said in the past, it's my opinion, he's a very sick man. Very sick man. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Post has gotten a hold of these raunchy messages that Anthony Weiner allegedly sent. He exchanged dozens of sexually explicit messages, phone calls, and photos with a woman who was 22 years old from Indiana. This was after he resigned from Congress, after he told us he went through rehab, after he had addressed his quote-unquote problem. This is what he did while his wife was pregnant. Okay? This is what this little weasel Weiner did. I can't even read you. The New York Post writes this. Some of his messages were enough to make a porn star blush. Quote, "So I walk into a hotel room, and you're at the end of the bed naked except for some amazing blank me shoes. Your legs are blank and your feet are flat on the ground." He uses the name Carlos Danger and DNGR 33. I can't even read you with the blanks the next line. This is a sick man. He's a sick man because he's married when he writes this. His wife is pregnant when he writes this. He's already resigned in disgrace from Congress when he writes this. I don't care if he's a single guy and he's sexting with a woman. I don't even care if he's a married guy and he's texting with a woman. You want to put your marriage at risk? Go ahead. But he was a U.S. congressman who got caught and had to resign in disgrace, goes to rehab, comes out, his wife's pregnant, and this is what he's doing. He's sick. And the fact that he's still running for mayor is pathetic. But you know what's more pathetic? Is this Huma Abedin. Huma Abedin. You know, it's funny. I was driving into work today, listening to the radio in New York City, and there's really only, a couple of talk stations. So I was listening It wasn't Geraldo, but it was very close on the dial to Geraldo. That should give you a hint in case you want to find out. Same station I was listening to yesterday, because I like to hear about places to get married on Long Island, I guess. And then I turn on Geraldo, and Geraldo's talking about some great stuff. Anyway, so I'm listening yesterday, and of course, a caller brings up, this is before my Mark O'Mara interview, and a caller says, hey, you know, Trayvon Martin didn't have iced tea with him. He had a watermelon fruit cocktail mix that, together with the Skittles and cough medicine, you know, it puts together a drink that you could get high on. So the host says, you know how stupid you sound? You know how crazy you sound? And hung up on him. Well, of course, I had Mark O'Mara on yesterday, and he confirmed the whole thing. And it was posted by Real Clear Politics. It was posted by Newsbusters. So today the host gets a call from somebody who says, Uma Abedin has Muslim Brotherhood connections. He goes, oh, yeah, right. Hangs up on her, too. I don't know what's going on at that station that I used to work at. Another hint. Anyway, but Uma Abedin is a disgrace. She's a disgrace to women. She's a disgrace. By the way, CBS Evening News last night, no time for the Weiner sex scandal. ABC failed to identify Weiner as a Democrat. Morning Joe spent an hour on Weiner and never once called him a Democrat. Am I surprised? Of course not. You got the former aide to the mayor of San Diego says she was sexually harassed in 2005. ABC, CBS, never call him a Democrat. It goes with the territory, my friends. If you're a Democrat, you're insulated. You're saved. I want you to listen to Uma Abedin. We'll skip to 61. Just defending her husband. She said, I'm so nervous. I've never done this before. Here's a woman who's traveled with the First Lady, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for 15 years. And she's so nervous to talk about. She had to read off a little piece of paper, looking admirably at her wonderful husband, Anthony. Could we look up on Google? Remember the commercial? Was it for Ronzoni or Butoni? It was some spaghetti. In the streets of Boston, Wednesday is Prince. Wednesday is Prince Spaghetti Day. And you have this woman, like my mother used to do in Brooklyn, calling us to come in for lunch or for dinner. She'd open the window and shout out, Steven. So this woman saying, Anthony. Could we get that and put it in this little machine? Let's find the Prince Spaghetti commercial, woman calling for Anthony. That would be perfect. Anyway, so listen to Uma Abedin yesterday. She, of many... You got it? You got Anthony? Here we go. Listen to this. Anthony. All right, we're going to put that in here. Sounds like they were closing the window on it. Good work. We'll put it in the machine here. Uma Abedin, who has a family deeply connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. Shh, can't talk about that, especially on my old radio station in the morning from 10 to noon. They'll hang up on you. Listen to what she had to say about her husband and to the public about his race for mayor and their relationship. Cut 61.
We discussed all of this before Anthony decided he would run for mayor. So really what I want to say is I love him. I have forgiven him. I believe in him. And as we have said from the beginning, we are moving forward.
This guy's going to raise her son. This sexting, texting, addicted nut job, in my opinion, is going to raise that child, that boy. And this is what she decided to do, to stay with him. Now, let me take you back. 1992, CBS, 60 Minutes, Steve Kroft, Hillary and Bill, sitting on the couch. I'm not just standing by my man like some Tammy Wynette. 66.
I'm not sitting here as some little woman standing by my man like Tammy Wynette. I'm sitting here because I love him, and I respect him, and I honor what he's been through and what we've been through together. And, if that's not enough for people, then heck, don't vote for him.
Wait a minute. I love him. I respect him. Now, the one who has now worked with Hillary for 15 years, yesterday, could we hear 61 again, please? 61.
We discussed all of this before Anthony decided he would run for mayor. So really what I want to say is I love him. I have forgiven him. I believe in him. And as we have said from the beginning, we are moving forward.
Yeah. Nothing ever changes, does it? And we got a bargain with Bill Clinton, didn't we? Yeah, ask Paula Jones, Kathleen Willey, Juanita Broderick. I can't even remember them all. Just go down the whole list. Accused of rape, accused of sexual assault, accused of exposing himself, impeached, convicted, actually, of lying to a grand jury, had his law license taken away. He was a bargain, wasn't he? And Republicans have a war on women. We're coming back with Dr. Jeffrey Gardier, America's psychologist, on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Weiner, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
We're can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
I can't say exactly. Sometime last summer, I think.
Was it after you told People Magazine, quote, or your wife told People Magazine, it took us a lot of work to get where we are today, Anthony's trying to be the best husband he can be?
Yes.
Was it after that?
Yes.
Your Mountain calls you to drop out of the race. What do you say to those people who want you to drop out of the race?
I'm sure many of my opponents would like me to drop out of the race.
Yes, sir. When was the definitive moment here for you? You said some things were true online, some things weren't true. Can you tell us what was not true?
The Steve
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. That was from the press conference yesterday. Anthony Weiner. Joining us now is Dr. Jeffrey Gardier. He is America's psychologist, and he joins us once again. Hey, Doc.
Hey, Steve. How are you, buddy?
I'm fine. I got to tell you, I'm not in your profession, but this is a sick individual who, after he resigned from Congress and supposedly went to rehab, if you read the New York Post today, I can't read on the air what the New York Post got a hold of, his texts to this woman, 22-year-old woman who he allegedly promised an apartment to, and this and that. I can't read you the sexual situation he described that's documented in the New York Post. What is wrong with him?
This is a person, Steve, who has obviously a sexual addiction, impulse control problems all around that sexual addiction, and certainly there may be some secondary things going on around that, including perhaps some sort of underlying depression, and he self-medicates on these wild sexual deviations, if you will, that are extremely dangerous, and therefore that's why he uses the name Carlos Danger. That's straight from the subconscious, but it's the dangerousness of losing all credibility, of losing his political life, of losing his wife, that adds to the sexual excitement. So yes, he does have some severe psychiatric issues that do need to be addressed in further treatment.
All right, well, I know I'm just asking you your opinion. Is this a man, or I don't know how to phrase it. Let me phrase it two ways. Is this a man you would urge to run for public office or urge against it? Or is this a man you would, if the public asked you, as I am representing the public, would you urge the public not to put this man in a position of high responsibility, or does it not matter?
I would say to Anthony Weiner directly, he needs to do a reevaluation as to where he is in his life mentally, emotionally, and determine for himself whether he can handle the pressure of running for mayor or even being elected mayor, knowing that he has this severe impulse control problem. It's like an alcoholic or a drug addict who has not stabilized their situation and then takes on something that has more stress than anything we can think of that will only throw them into a relapse. I truly believe that's the issue.
All right. Now, what's with his wife? I mean, we don't know about their marriage. We don't know if she's doing this for the reason Hillary did it all those years ago in 1992. I just played Hillary from 60 Minutes saying, I love him, I respect him, and it's basically the same thing Uma Abedin, Hillary's longtime personal aide, closed with at her press conference. But here's a woman, and again, Hillary, I don't even want to talk about Hillary. Here's a woman in Uma Abedin who was humiliated. He admitted she was humiliated. There was a whole New York Times cover story on it, magazine, the whole big deal thing. And he said, though, at the time that there's more stuff out there, okay? But we didn't know till yesterday that he was doing this a year after he resigned, which was less than a year ago. So what, after she was humiliated, after he resigned, after he sought treatment, he's still doing it while she's pregnant. Why is this the kind of man, and tell me what kind of environment this is for a boy to be raised in if the father has this disorder?
It's going to be very difficult for them to get through this. They say that they've been in therapy, but I believe, no pun intended, this is where the rubber hits the road.
Oh, wait a minute, wait. Thank you. Gave you a rim shot there.
Right. No, really, and it wasn't intentional, but this year they discuss it in therapy, I would assume, in intense therapy, but now the reality of the story coming out is something completely different. I truly believe, Steve, that she loves Anthony, her husband. I truly believe that she is dedicated to his career, and she gets secondary gain out of it. She's no fool. She was, as you said, an assistant to Hillary Clinton. She's playing by that playbook, but it's quite obvious she's very upset. This is very challenging, but she's not only trying to save her husband, but the legacy that their child, and I would probably think future children of theirs, will have to live with. So she's on a mission. She's the good wife. She's superior to him in every way, in intelligence, in morals, and is healthier emotionally. So at the end of the day, it's going to be about her.
All right, the more that comes out, no pun intended there either, but again, I have to give the obligatory. We only have a minute. So I don't want to cut you short. But the more stories of women that come forward, is he going to be able to survive this, do you think, without cracking up?
The only way he's going to survive it is to admit that he is powerless over his addiction, and he needs to be in treatment. And there's no way he's going to survive if he makes it as mayor if he's not in treatment. The stress will throw him back into these sorts of very inappropriate.
So as a doctor, based on what you know, you would say don't run.
I would say carefully consider whether you're emotionally stable enough to run.
Okay. Hey, Doc, thank you for your time. I know it's a busy day for you. Thank you, sir.
Steve, you're the man.
No, you are. How can I be the man when you're the man? All right.
I'm
Thanks,
the
Doc.
man I used to be. Don't get me started. Okay,
Take care. Dr. Jeffrey Gardier, American psychologist. When we come back, we're turning it all around, and we're going to talk to a great, great editorial writer, my friend James Robbins at USA Today, to talk about Obamacare. It's rearing its ugly head on the Steve Malzberg Show. And don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560. If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45 non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50 non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it or you have it and you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help. We are InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer health insurance plans from major carriers nationwide and likely have a plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed, on a COBRA plan that's about to expire, or you simply don't have health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance Solutions can help you. Our agents will help you find coverage you can afford. InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Plans may not be available in all states. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. Barack Obama gave a 1 hour and 6 minute speech today, and it sounded like they all sound like campaign speeches. This sounded like, the election was tomorrow. And he blasted Republicans, and it was unbelievable. And he talked about Obamacare. He defended, of course, Obamacare. Then the evil Republicans keep voting in the House to repeal it. It's a waste of time, and blah blah blah. And he basically dared them, to shut down the government over defunding of Obamacare, which is something I've been told the House leadership wants no part of, unfortunately. But senators, a couple of them on the Republican side in the Senate, of course, do want that fight, do believe it's worth the fight on moral grounds. Joining us now to talk about health care and what this means for you and me to some extent is James Robbins, Senior Fellow in National Security Affairs at the American Foreign Policy Council and member of USA Today's Board of Contributors. Hey, James, good to talk to you again.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Really well.
All right. So this data mining that's going on, the information that's going to be gathered, if this was if the health care bill was something that America favored, if this was something that Americans believed was well-intended and was working out fine and was ready to be implemented and people were looking forward to it, and there was no IRS scandal, no Justice Department scandal, no Benghazi scandal, even then, if Americans knew the scope of what information would be gained or gathered on them and where it would be going and who would be using it, they'd be outraged. But when you put it in the context that I just alluded to, it is downright frightening.
Yeah, it's very bad. According to the law, the data hub, as it's called, will contain information from across about 7 different federal government agencies, plus some state agencies, plus third-party private groups like credit bureaus and things that will collect information on you. And then all of this information put in one place will be given to tens of thousands of contractors and community organizers and people like that, ostensibly to help you navigate Obamacare, but in fact, who knows what they're going to do with it?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. There's absolutely no way to tell whose hands, though, it will fall into. So talk about exactly what kind of information we're talking about. I mean, we're talking about medical records, for one, which is, to me, is enough.
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely all of your medical records will be digitized and put into the data hub. So that right off the bat, that's pretty bad. But if you add that to all the financial information that the IRS and the state that you live in has, your Social Security number and all Social Security information will be in there. If you have an incarceration record, if you're unfortunate enough to have that, that'll be in there. Your immigration status and other things that the government might want to collect. It'll all be put in one place, so anybody who wants to find out everything about you just can do one-stop shopping.
Right, and here's another scary part of it all is people could hack it and get the information, but this will leak out. Banks are hacked, and banks make mistakes, and the IRS gets hacked, and they make mistakes sometimes on purpose. And this information will get out. Then it will go to prospective employers and others, and it opens up a whole new avenue of horrors for people who will be looking for work. And, this company seems to have a little secret database that they got some names from, and they search around to see if they could find Joe Blow. And when they find Joe Blow, they see he's on antidepressants or something, and they say, well, we don't want a guy like that here. I mean, it's just what could happen here, it's going to be unprecedented.
It's really kind of a nightmare for privacy. And HHS says that, we're going to have a secure data hub and stuff. It won't be able to be hacked into. But if the Department of Defense and the NSA can't keep a handle on their information, I seriously doubt that Health and Human Services is going to somehow have the magic wand that will keep this all safe. And in any case, I'm not so much concerned about a hacker getting hold of it. I'm concerned about the people who use it day to day, these community organizer types and people from nonprofit groups and contractors that they hire, and they say they'll be given training and stuff, but come on.
Well, yeah, could you say Edward Snowden?
Yeah, exactly. He was given training.
Right.
And, I worked in the government. I handled secure documents, and we had counterintelligence training and stuff, and they said, and if you break the law, you go to jail and things like that. It was pretty intensive. But this is HHS. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, we're talking to James Robbins, Senior Fellow, National Security Affairs of the American Policy Council, Foreign Policy Council, and he is a member of USA Today's Board of Contributors here on the Steve Malzberg Show. What about what I was saying at the beginning, turning a little political here? What you have your ear to the ground there. What are you hearing about Congress and their willingness to fight this? I mean, it's so disappointing as someone who has been looking forward to the purse strings being closed or being tied or being limited for Obamacare to defund one part of it or many parts of it or all of it. And now I've asked several congressmen, starting with Congressman Scott Garrett and then Peter King and others, and they all agree that the leadership wants no part of that because it could lead to a veto of the budget and a government shutdown, and they don't think it's a winning issue.
Well, I have it on pretty good authority that, at least on the issue of the data hub and things like that there is increasing concern in Congress over this. It was supposed to be implemented this October, and HHS keeps saying like they're getting around to it, like they're trying to get organized. But as they actually are starting to do it, people in Congress are starting to ask the same questions that you and I are just been asking, like, do we really want to have this? So if Congress is looking for something to defund, this might be part of it. However, if you do take the data hub, so-called, out of the equation, it'll be extremely hard to implement Obamacare at all.
Yeah, but see, that I think is that's a good idea. I mean, that's a winning issue. You tell folks we're defunding this part where your privacy will be protected in the wake of the IRS scandal and everything else. That's absolutely a winning issue. Exactly. Let's just see if they have the brains on the leadership side to go through with it. James, always great to talk to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure. James Robbins, ladies and gentlemen, Senior Fellow in National Security Affairs at the American Foreign Policy Council and member of the USA Today's Board of Contributors. Look, if you think that this is something you want your medical records out there on a website, are you kidding me? Oh, secure website, a government website. Nobody's going to get a hold of that. Yeah, it's spelled EDWARDSNODEN, and others before him. So we don't want that. All right, when we come back, I'm a rocker, baby, I'm a rocker. John Rocker, former relief pitcher, mostly with the Atlanta Braves, will join us. He's now a columnist, and he will talk to us about the suspension of Mr. Braun and the pending suspension of A-Rod. Apparently, A-Rod has seen the case that Major League Baseball has against him, the evidence that they have against him. And at first, he was trying to cut a deal, reportedly. Now he's trying to stretch it out as long as possible. He will not say okay to a suspension that's, a year, 2 years, or for life, because the longer he stays, the more he gets paid that salary. Once he's out, he doesn't get paid anymore. So he's going to reportedly try to prolong this as long as possible legally. So we'll talk about that and who else might be in trouble with John Rocker, what he thinks of steroids and growth hormones and all that kind of stuff when we come back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message, because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
I love you, son. So it hurts when you say I hate you. I'm your mother. I'm tired of you disrespecting me when you don't get your way. I work hard to make sure you have everything you need. I should be able to ask you to get out of bed in the morning without a fight. So from now on, things are going to be different. I ordered the Total Transformation Program. We're not going to scream and fight anymore. I'm going to tell you what to do in a different way, and you're going to do it. You're not going to call me ugly names anymore, and if you do, you're going to get consequences that'll keep you from calling me ugly names. We're not going to do things your way anymore, son. We're going to do things the Total Transformation way.
Get the Total Transformation free. Just order the program, tell us how it works for you, and you can keep it for free. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520. Call now. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520.
Accurate portrayal of potential customer experience. Your experience will vary.
I was overwhelmed with credit card debt, losing sleep, worrying about money all the time. Creditors were hounding me night and day, and I didn't think there was any way I could ever get out of debt or get my life back. Then a friend told me about the Financial Solutions Group, and I found out all it took to get started was one free call. They really helped me get my life back. If you're like I was, you could see almost half or more of your credit card balances eliminated without the nightmare of bankruptcy or attorney's fees. And they didn't charge me any settlement fees till they reduced my debt. If you have more than $10,000 in credit card debt, this is your chance to get your life back. Make one quick free call today, right now, to see if you qualify. 1-800-477-6802. That's 1-800-477-6802. Again, 1-800-477-6802. 1-800-477-6802.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. Steve Malzberg with you. Ryan Braun capitulated to Major League Baseball and took his suspension for using growth hormones and banned substances for the rest of this year, including the playoffs. He admitted that he lied in the past and did wrong things. Of course, up to that point, he denied having done anything wrong. And A-Rod reportedly has also been in touch with Major League Baseball, seen the evidence against him, and many people being quoted with anonymity, though close to A-Rod, say he's not going to follow in Ryan Braun's footsteps. He's going to fight any suspension. And joining us now to talk about all this is John Rocca, former Major League pitcher, of course, and author of Scars and Strikes, also a columnist at WND.com. Hello, John. How are you? Good to talk to you again.
Good. Steve, how you doing this afternoon?
Good. All right, so what's your take on all of this? So we knew that this was coming. We knew that the man who ran the clinic down in Florida had gone to Major League Baseball and apparently has been paid by Major League Baseball and has been forthcoming with all kinds of evidence. Apparently Ryan Braun saw the evidence and said, "Uh-oh, you got me." A-Rod, I don't know. So what's your take on this whole thing?
Well, I'm a little surprised to see that, that after these many years of, Major League Baseball trying to rid its league of steroids, the punishments that will be levied, was it 50 games for the first offense? Help me out here. 100 for the second offense, and I guess an entire year for the third. Whatever else, be some pretty heavy penalties being levied, and that people are still trying to tiptoe around, through the bushes and get around some of the tests and things like that. I was talking to an individual yesterday, because obviously the punishment and the fear of punishment is not fitting the crime. The punishment and the fear of the backlash of the public, the backlash of the media, the loss of a portion of a year's salary and game time, whatever, is obviously not a big enough threat to warrant committing the crime. I was talking to an individual yesterday, and if you really want to rid PEDs from Major League Baseball, I looked to a clause that currently exists in Major League Baseball contracts that brings to mind a situation that Ron Gant found himself in some years ago. There is a clause in Major League Baseball contracts that if you hurt yourself off field, and there's usually about half a dozen things listed, motorcycle wreck, in basketball, things like that, and you bust a leg up or whatever, and you miss a portion of games, you miss an entire year, the team can actually petition to the league to not have to pay you for those games that you missed because you were off the field doing something stupid that's in your contract you can't do, and they can actually pull those dollars off the table and not have to pay you that portion of your guaranteed contract. If there was something in Major League Baseball, you look at Ryan Braun, he's going to lose about $3.2 million, yada, 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 whatever. He's going to make $111 million over the next 7-8 years. $3.2 million, he really doesn't care about it. If you had a similar kind of situation that Ron Gant back in 95 or 96 broke his leg on a dirt bike, I think the Braves still owed him like $7 or $8 million, petitioned the league, he hurt himself in one of these, violatory activities, off-field kind of things, broke his leg on a motorcycle dirt bike, commissioned the league, did not have to pay Ron the balance of his contract, $7-8 million. That stings right there when you lose that kind of money. If there would be a clause in Major League contract, if you get called hands down, PEDs, fail the drug test, double, triple time, whatever. Obviously, you have to make it pretty significant. A false test can't come back or whatever. Then a team could petition the league and get out of your contract and not have to pay you guaranteed money. That would stop PEDs in baseball.
Yeah, all right. That's certainly an interesting scenario to present, and it probably sounds like it would have some teeth in it and might work. But let me ask you, first of all, how widely abused are these growth hormones, do you believe?
Well, I mean, first of all, growth hormone, when it comes to performance enhancing and things like that, are really kind of benign. It's more of an aging remedy, things like that. It does help you sleep better, and it can help you build muscle and things like that. But as far as the real power and the real, energy boost that you get from an anabolic, HGH just doesn't provide that, which I've never really understood why HGH gets this, same stereotypical negative connotation as an anabolic does. It just doesn't have the same power and effect as an anabolic. But what was your question, Steve?
Well, how widespread is the use of all of them? Let's lump them all the ones that are banned. How widespread do you believe the use of these substances are?
Now I would say, probably less than 10%. I mean, baseball I think has minded its business, has cleaned its house up, has done some house cleaning, has been out there with the education, been out there with the threats of punishment, the threats of suspension. A lot of guys have come in line with that, but I don't know if I quoted this on your show. There are a possible combination of 50,000 different varied molecular combinations of steroids out there, and as of probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, the best drug testing available, the Olympic drug testing, can only test for about 500 of those possible 50,000 molecular combinations of anabolic steroids. But I'm sure, and guys like Ryan Braun and whatnot, they moved forward and decided to do it anyway. And I guarantee you they're getting stuff built in a lab just like that, adding a molecule, drawing a molecule, getting stuff built just for them. It's very expensive, but it can be done. But just like everything else, I guarantee these tests are also updating themselves to cast a wider net and catch more of these. But I think, as far as Major League Baseball cleaning its house, tending to its business, I think they've done a relatively good job at it. I would say it's probably less than 10%. I think, the 20 or 25 you're looking at right now probably makes up the great majority of the ones who are in the game actually doing something like that today.
All right, we're talking to John Rocker here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Why is it that baseball, it's such huge news and a major scandal when in football, for instance, you got guys, just the other day, I think another guy was suspended for 4 games or whatever, and 4 games is, 25% of their season. That gets unnoticed without hardly a blink of an eye.
And I tell you, I've got a lot of friends that are either current NFL or ex-NFL guys, but some of the stuff that they call, performance enhancing or banned substance or whatever. I mean, you can straight up find the GNC. I mean, their banned substances list can be something that you and I can walk into GNC and just put on our credit card. Not a big deal. The stuff Major League Baseball is talking about it's illegal in our society. If you get caught with Winstraw V in your car by a sheriff, he can arrest you right then and there. And that's where I think it's a difference with an NFL player. It's a banned substance in the league of the NFL, whereas Major League Baseball, we're talking about stuff that's banned in society.
Right. Do you think you think that? There's no way A-Rod, no matter whether or not he ever plays again, and I could ask your opinion on that. Maybe you could tell me if you think he'll ever play again for any significant amount of time. If he does play again and he goes on to, hit more home runs than anybody ever before, that's not a record that's going to be respected. That's going to be like Bonds. It's going to be like McGuire, right?
It'll be worse than that. He's already failed 1 test. He's getting ready to suspend it again, more than likely. I know I was actually just listening to Sean Hannity a few minutes ago, was talking about that he's planning on appealing a suspension, thing like that. So there will be a fight. It will further, smear whatever fight he ends up in. Will prolong the effort. It will more publicize the effort and things like that. And Alex is 38 this year. For all intents and purposes, is lost for him. If he ends up getting suspended for say 100 games next year, all intents and purposes, next year's lost for him. He really won't have a full season until he's 40. He's at least 100 home runs away from Bonds' record. But yeah, nobody, especially with the smear campaign that will be done while Alex is appealing a suspension, the writers are going to be voting. The ones that will be publicizing his appeal.
Right.
They'll be the very ones voting on him in 7, 8, 10 years for that haul. I would say he'd get no votes at this point in time.
Right, and of course he's good. If the reports are correct that we also talked about on this show, maybe that's where Hannity got it from. Is that earlier that he wants to draw this out as long as possible to keep collecting that huge paycheck for as long as possible. So the longer he survives in the legal process, even if he ultimately loses, we're talking millions of dollars probably per month. So that's what
$1 million this year and $1 million lost next year. If it's 6 of one, half of another.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, quickly, a guy like Robinson Cano, the 10-year contract, the 8-year contract, whatever he's looking for in the free agent market, and he's supposed to be, the crown jewel of the free agent market coming up. The fact that, and you and I have discussed amphetamines and greenies before, and the fact that they don't exist in clubhouses anymore, and that fewer and fewer players are able to play into their, late 30s, early 40s, because, you don't have the greenies to pep you up much anymore. Is a team going to still give a Robinson Cano, a contract that's going to take him till he's, 40, 41, 42 years old?
They will, for the sheer simple fact it's Major League Baseball from team to team to team functions solely along the capitalistic market that exists here in America, and it's going to come down to a bidding war, and this team's going to try to trump that team, we're going to try to trump that team, and it's going to be an all-out bidding war for a guy who currently right now, you may know that in 7 or 8 years, I may be getting bitten in the backside because I've extended Robinson Cano's contract a couple of years too long, but in order to get him right now, I may have won 2 World Series by that time coming.
Right.
Robinson Cano's bat and glove in my lineup, and that's a risk I think folks are willing to take to try to put that hardware in their clubhouse there.
I'm about to make you sick because I'm making myself sick. In closing, we have less than a minute. I'm just going to tell you, Bobby Bonilla is getting $1 million a year for the next 15 or 20 years because that's how he structured his contract.
With LA, I love Bobby Bo, so you don't make me sick.
No, but I mean that's a lot, man. That's pretty smart on his part. Pretty smart.
Yeah,
hey,
Bobby, he's a lot more than just a pretty face now.
Yeah. Hey, John, thank you as always, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Steve.
John Rocker, ladies and gentlemen, former Major League pitcher, author of Scars and Strikes. Hour number 1 is in the books, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Edward Snowden. Where the heck is he? On the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530. That's 800-460-1530. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-1530. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman.
NSA leaker Edward Snowden's weeks spent in limbo may soon be coming to an end. Today, a lawyer met with Snowden after Russian officials reportedly accepted his request for temporary asylum. Snowden is expected to leave the Moscow airport, where he's been holed up for almost a month. It remains unclear, though, where Snowden will go next. He remains a fugitive in the U.S., wanted on espionage charges for releasing highly sensitive information. Meanwhile, the House is expected to vote today on limiting the NSA's surveillance power. The once top-secret program has caused heated debate in Congress since Snowden released those details. NSA Director Keith Alexander made an emergency visit to Capitol Hill Tuesday, urging both House Democrats and Republicans to vote no on a plan proposed by Michigan Republican Justin Amash. That amendment would prevent the NSA's blanket collection of phone records, also known as metadata. Instead, the agency would only be allowed to gather specific information from individuals who are currently under investigation. Members of both parties have argued for more oversight.
I think that very clearly this program has gone off the tracks legally and needs to be reined in.
But Intelligence Committee members like Democrat Dutch Ruppersberger say the program is vital to pinpointing terrorist communications.
You know, what we're doing in the metadata program is finding a needle in a haystack. And you need the haystack in order to find the needle.
And in Brazil, Pope Francis continues his historic visit a day after he took some rest. Thousands of people massed on the beach to kick off World Youth Day and honor Pope Francis. The Pope spoke of a very specific concern he has for the young, saying that we are running the risk of having a generation that does not work. Young people in this moment are in crisis, the Pope said. Many of the demonstrators this week in Brazil are young. Also today, the Pope said Mass in Rio de Janeiro's Basilica, considered to be the nation's holiest site for Catholics. And disgraced former congressman and current New York City mayoral candidate Anthony Weiner is now apologizing for more explicit photos and messages and refusing to quit the mayor's race. A website posted those images and messages, which reportedly took place in 2012, a year after Anthony Weiner resigned from Congress. The New York Democrat stepped down in 2011 after admitting to sending nude photos of himself to several women. His wife, Huma Abedin, says she has forgiven her husband and stands by him. Still, the New York Times and other newspapers are now calling for Weiner to drop his bid for mayor. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, what does the future hold for baseball's highest paid player, Alex Rodriguez, as MLB's doping investigation widens? Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with political analyst Doug Schoen. What do celebrity sales pitches on Obamacare tell us about the implementation of the law? Schoen's answer next.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com, Aftershock2013.com. In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com, Aftershock911.com.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
And welcome back. Baseball's highest paid player could soon be banned from the game for life. A Major League executive tells CBS News that Alex Rodriguez will be suspended for using performance-enhancing drugs. Rodriguez and Milwaukee Brewers outfielder Ryan Braun were among several players linked to a now-closed anti-aging clinic in South Florida. That clinic was run by a man who is now cooperating with baseball and is said to have overwhelming evidence against A-Rod. And there is a new push from a few celebrities to help the White House gain more support for Obamacare. This comes as implementation troubles mount for the bill. And political analyst Doug Schoen tells Newsmax TV during an exclusive interview that this move is the equivalent of a Hail Mary pass.
Well, I think it's one of desperation. They've tried to sell the bill on its merits. I think they're throwing long bombs, and anybody and everybody who can help sell it is welcome.
This has been your Newsmax Now update for July 24th. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks. So when I was watching the news this morning, there was a report that Edward Snowden, NSA leaker and traitor and whatever you want to call him, or if I'm Michael Moore in the left, I'll call him a hero. Not me, of course. I would never call him that. Anyway, that's it. He was applying, making official application to stay in Russia, and that's where he was going to stay, and blah, 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 blah. Then, of course, came the report that he's still stuck in a so-called holding pattern at the airport in Moscow and is still a man without a country. This has been going on now for quite some time, and I believe since June 23rd he arrived on a flight from Hong Kong. So now we're, July 24th? So it's now over a month. We're into month number 2. Joining us now is a man we've had back many times since then, and prior to then, actually, to talk about what Edward Snowden might do, where he might wind up. Douglas McNabb, international attorney and senior principal at McNabb Associates. Hey, Doug, how are you?
I am excellent, Steve. And you, sir?
I am fine and dandy, as oh my goodness, what's his name used to? George Carlin used to say, fine and dandy. Okay, so let's talk about this. You probably heard the same reports that I heard earlier this morning that were then said to be erroneous, that he was going to stay in Russia. What did you think when you heard those?
I'm getting dizzy. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. I'm going to go over there. No, I'm going to stay here. It's just it's a mess. And I thought maybe if he had a Russian lawyer get involved in this process, that that there would be some sort of strategy in place. But in defense of what the lawyer is trying to do for him, I guess they are dealing with the governmental bureaucracy, just like you would here in the States, and dealing with ICE or custom or state. It can be a bit frustrating. So that may be what is happening there. But he seems to still be bouncing all over the place in terms of what he's going to be doing.
Okay, so if he has filed an application, if it's just a matter of time, if the gun was jumped, so to speak, by maybe the lawyer tipping off a reporter, and it all got reported too soon, so they're pulling back. Let's work under the assumption for a second that he's going to stay in Russia. I understand that the White House actually called over to Putin to find out what the status of all this was. If he stays in Russia, I mean, this isn't going to be good, right, for supposedly, or you would think, for U.S.-Russian relations.
Yeah, I think that it would be just a matter of tightening the screws even more. It'd be interesting to see whether President Obama elects to visit with President Putin I think they're supposed to be meeting in September. But it's my understanding of Russian law. I'm certainly not a Russian lawyer, but from what has been reported, that Mr. Snowden's application was to take about 5 days for a preliminary review, and then a full review within 90 days. And then if ultimately approved, he can stay in Russia for a year, but that's renewable annually. And so he could theoretically stay for as long as he wanted to, and all the while he could be working and traveling about the country.
Yeah, well, he has a Russian lawyer, as you said, and they say that this Russian lawyer told a television station in Russia that he's brought several books for Snowden to read, including Crime and Punishment, which is kind of appropriate, I guess, for the situation he's in at the transit zone, where he's been for a month. So one other thing, so because I lost track and my head's spinning more than yours, but since this is your business. Whatever happened to the Latin American option? Is that still there, as far as you know, or is it off the table?
No, I think it's still there, and I think what they're trying to do from a strategy standpoint is get him out of the transit zone, so he's then able to travel freely throughout the country, and can then at some point, maybe with the press looking in the other direction, he can take off and go to one of the Latin American countries. I think that,
you never know.
From what I've read, Venezuela's still interested.
Okay, well that's it's just crazy. I just want to know who's going to play you in the movie. That's all.
I'd rather be a paid consultant.
Okay, there you go.
That would be okay.
Fair enough. All right, Douglas, we'll get back to you as soon as the next move is made in this chess game, and we appreciate you coming on as always.
It's always a pleasure for me too, Steve.
Thank you, Douglas McNabb, ladies and gentlemen, international attorney here on the Steve Malzberg Show. So he's still at the airport, at the hub, or what do they call it? Not the hub. They call it the transit zone. Maybe they should, like Twilight Zone. Maybe this could become a series, Transit Zone. Edward Snowden in the Transit Zone. You have that cut of Caroline Kennedy, right? We have an announcement to make, ladies and gentlemen. I saw it come across the. Bethany said she has it, I think so. Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you while we hopefully load it. Caroline Kennedy is being nominated by Barack Obama to be the U.S. ambassador to... Wait, I have a drum roll. Hold it. No, here we go. To... The drum roll's still playing. Boom. Okay. Japan! That's right. That Japan, I said. Thank you. Oh, the crowd goes wild in Tokyo as we check out the Nikkei indexes at the same time. No, anyway, so that's the story. Caroline Kennedy. Now, you know what Caroline Kennedy's problem is, don't you? Caroline Kennedy was a candidate to take Hillary Clinton's Senate seat when Hillary Clinton left to become Secretary of State, and there was pressure to appoint her to that seat. But Caroline Kennedy gave interviews, and no one had heard Caroline Kennedy talk, I guess, maybe ever. Maybe for a long, long, long time. But Caroline Kennedy has this little, I wouldn't call it a speech impediment, but give a listen, and we're going to let this roll for a while. Give a listen to Caroline Kennedy. This is not once, over and over. This is several. All these are separate incidents during the course of an interview or two or three. Here it is.
Let me begin this way.
It was a few years ago, after, I felt, my job was to reach out to, everyday New Yorkers and really, I really ought to give it some thought. This is my life, as a mother.
New York City.
While I was thinking about it, just sort of, in my own head and saying, why don't you be senator? You'd be great. Go for it. We're rooting for you. On the subway this morning, people were, coming up. So, so I thought, well, I ought to do that because, this is my home. I think, I was in my family. Public service is really, the greatest honor that anyone can have. It's that this is, a mother. I've raised 3 kids. People can really pass these values, what made America great. And that's something that, I don't think we do enough at home. We don't, we talk about sports, and so, those, and, and the visibility that I have. We are losing, a sense to the State Department. And so I think that, well, it's not a way, there was a sense that, we have to work twice as hard because, people have this perception that, and we are fortunate. and with nothing. In terms of, satisfying the perception that, this is just, all you have to do is pick up the phone, you get anything. And I think, people saw that.
Comparing you to entertainer J-Lo as it relates to possibly going to the Senate and credentials.
Well, I wish, I think a lot of things about that, and I admire the journey that J-Lo has traveled. And she looks pretty good. But in terms of,
all right, I've had
policy,
enough. I've had enough. I can't take it anymore. Look, I feel badly almost. Not really playing that. I mean, it's sad. It's sad. So what is she going to do? She's going to go to Japan and talk like that? I mean, this woman should not hold a public position representing her country. Is that what she does? Look, I'm reading a CNN headline. Anthony Weiner's wife goes all in. All in, he said. Where is it? Here we go. Thank you. Weiner under pressure. You want to know the Drudge headline? First of all, Anthony Weiner, I know we got to go. Anthony Weiner was sexting reportedly in March. In March. This man is sick, in my opinion. And you heard Jeffrey Gardier, America's psychologist, in the previous hour. Sick. On the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts. And some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. LigNet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LinkNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LinkNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LinkNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LinkNet for $1. Go to linknet.com.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks, I'll tell you why I was attracted to our next guest. Because of the position he served in as former Assistant U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services under President George W. Bush. He's currently president of Midland University, and he's a Republican candidate for Senate in the state of U.S. Senate in the state of Nebraska. And Ben Sass, welcome to the show, sir.
Steve, thanks. Good to be with you.
Thank you. And the reason I was attracted to you is because, man, I have been calling for the Republicans to defund Obamacare or parts of Obamacare as they have the power to do. Instead, they keep passing in the House this bill that says, we want to abolish Obamacare, knowing full well that that's not going to go anywhere, and the Senate or the president would never sign it. I don't blame them for passing it, but I made news a couple of weeks ago, and I asked Scott Garrett on the Budget Committee. I said, when is the leadership going to do something and defund part of this and say no IRS agents, whatever? He said they're not. He said not now because they're afraid that Obama will then not sign the budget bill, because this would be in the budget or not be in the budget, as the case may be. It would close the government down, and he believes that the leadership believes it's a losing proposition. I got the same thing from Congressman Peter King and others since then, and I am so disappointed. But you're calling in a piece that you wrote on Sunday for the Republicans to do just what I and many others would hope they would do, defund this thing.
Yeah, I mean, so the right answer is all of the above, right? I mean, it's a 2,300-page piece of legislation that's a monstrosity. Then Speaker Nancy Pelosi said we need to pass it to figure out what's in it. Well, as the American people learn more of what's in it, they know it's as horrible as we expected it would be. And people who are committed to freedom and rolling back the entitlement state ought to use all means at our disposal to stop the expansion of this government takeover of the healthcare system.
Well, okay, so the House has given no indication it's willing to do that. There have been a few senators who have spoken up in recent days that they are willing to do that. Do you think that the Republican leadership is wrong? Do you believe this is a losing issue if it came to a government shutdown over Obamacare?
You know, I'm not 100% sure where it leads at a government shutdown moment. I think everybody has their own polls about whether or not the American people are paying enough attention that if President Obama decided to demagogue it after a showdown, who would get the blame and who would get the credit and all of that. I don't know the right answer to that, but I do know this, that once the subsidy money start flowing in January of 2014, it's going to be far harder then to ever roll this back. So you better take every opportunity you have now to keep this from happening. You know, Governor Romney's 47% dependency quote was poorly stated, but largely true. And it looks like President Obama's goal is to take us to 52, 57, 62% dependency, and we need to stop it. So we need to use all legislative and procedural options at our disposal.
There are so many, Ben, so many bad parts of this bill, and we find out more and more, and businesses cutting back, and the database that will have all our private information out there, which somebody's going to hack into. I mean, what do you see as the, I hate to say the worst part, but I'll give you a little leeway. What do you see as the two most dangerous or worst parts, excuse me, of Obamacare?
Well, I mean, fundamentally, when you've got the largest sector of the economy and you say that you're going to expand, there were 47 million uninsured people in America at the time this was passed, and a lot of the reasons there are 47 million uninsured people in the country are because of all the government perversions in this space where we don't really have health insurance. We all know that property and casualty insurance markets work. Health insurance doesn't work because of the government's tinkering with it, but supposedly we're going to get 32 of those 47 million people uninsured, and it's half and half Medicaid expansion, which we all know Washington's going to supposedly pay for all this with free money for 3 or 4 years, and then it goes back to the states. The other half, the $16 million, are supposed to be in these state-based exchanges. And as you say, there is no way the federal government can administer these exchanges. It's sort of euphemism for marketplace.
Right.
It's only a marketplace in the way that the DMV is a marketplace for you to get your driver's license.
Right.
Both halves of that are a nightmare.
And we're talking to Ben Sasse, former U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services, Assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services, also president of Midland University, and running for the Republican nomination for the Senate seat in the state of Nebraska. You and your piece say that this is not just about health care. This is about a runaway executive branch when it comes to power.
Yeah, I mean, one of the horrible pieces of this law is the employer mandate, which is that any firm that has more than 50 employees that doesn't offer employer-sponsored health insurance has to pay a $2,000 fine per employee. It's bad. But President Obama and the Democrats in Congress were in favor of it until they realized how much job destruction and job loss there was going to be because of it. And the president doesn't want to admit that there's anything wrong with this legislation and go about it the constitutional way of asking the Congress to fix it. What I want to happen is the whole thing to be repealed and defunded. But even if the president just thinks parts of it is wrong, he has to go back. If parts of it are wrong, he has to go back to the Congress and ask them to amend it. He instead just gave himself the line item veto over the 4th of July holiday weekend, and when he was heavily lobbied by business groups, he decided he'd put off this part of it that would have job-killing effects. That outcome is a fine outcome, but he's not the dictator. He can't decide to do what Article 1 of the Constitution gives to the legislative branch.
Yeah, well, how could that be overturned? I mean, doesn't the legislative branch have to speak up? Don't they have to file some kind of suit? Doesn't there have to be some kind of backbone to the leadership?
I mean, right now we have two parties in Congress. We have a do bad things Democratic Party and a do nothing Republican Party. And at the end of the day, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of will in either party to acknowledge that what President Obama is doing, again, well beyond the fact that I think the substance of this health care reform legislation is bad, but at a constitutional procedural level, they need to stand up and talk about, we need to have a basic American conversation again about the Constitution, and he doesn't have these powers, and you're not hearing any Democrats standing up to him, and few Republicans that look like they're willing to do it with actual teeth.
Ben, we didn't talk much about your race in particular, but I think people have heard you, and I like what you're saying, and I thank you for taking the time to be with us, and good luck in your race in Nebraska.
Thanks for the invite, Steve.
Thank you. Ben Sasse, ladies and gentlemen. All right, when we come back, the White House pushing dirt on Darrell Issa? Well, that is true according to a new book on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night, but eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting, and the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or 2 of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? We'll even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. How often do we talk about the incestuousness of Washington and how people are interconnected, and how often are we frustrated, as we just expressed in our previous interview, with the so-called Republican leadership and not willing to do this and not willing to do that. Now we read about the fact that Barack Obama and John McCain are now best buds, and McCain is helping Obama, make deals in the Senate. And you say to yourself, what's going on here? There's a wonderful new book out, which if you're a Washington junkie, if you're a political junkie, and you must be if you're listening to or watching this show, This Town is the name of the book. 2 parties and a funeral, plus plenty of valet parking in America's Gilded Capital, by Mark Leibovich. He is a chief national correspondent for the New York Times Magazine. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hi, Steve. It's good to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on. I am holding up the book for all the Newsmax TV listeners, or viewers, I should say, to see. And good luck with it. Before we go too much further, I know you didn't write the cover story on Weiner, but it was the New York Times Magazine cover story that kind of set the stage for Weiner to be launched back into the public eye with his announcement that he would run for mayor. And now we are where we are, where he came out yesterday, and today he took to the internet. It turns out now he was sexting 3 months ago. But I want to ask you about Huma Abedin, because you probably know a lot about her and her connections, of course, to Hillary Clinton, her unlikely marriage to Weiner, the fact that many have accused her of, and I believe from the evidence I've seen, rightfully so, of having these Muslim Brotherhood family member connections from her mother and her father and others. And in fact, when John McCain blasted 5 congresspeople, including Michelle Bachmann, for daring to question those connections. Nonetheless, what do you make of the Huma Abedin-Weiner relationship, and the fact that now Huma, is standing by her man like Hillary did with Bill 20 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's one thing we learned from the Bill and Hillary thing, and really anything, is you just don't know what's going on in a marriage, right? I mean, sometimes even when you're in it. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's obviously it's not something I have any insight into, and I think obviously their short-term goal is to get elected mayor of New York, and she wants to be the first lady of New York. So I guess they sort of figured out this is the way to do it. But there's obviously a big dynamic here that I don't even pretend to know about. Probably don't even want to know about it.
Yeah, probably. Well, it'll be a lot cleaner if we don't know what we don't know. Unfortunately, if you read the New York Post today, I couldn't even read on the air with their little deletions what those texts were saying to that woman. Let's leave Weiner, mercifully, and let's go on to before we get to the whole book. There was a Washington Post story that came out of your book a while ago that in the summer 2010, as the Republicans were ready to take over the House, Darrell Issa was, of course, going to lead the Oversight Committee. The White House started urging reporters to write negative stories about Issa, and we heard a lot of those negative things come out as the hearings progressed. The Democrats started attacking him, but how commonplace this is from your book, I should say the Washington Post story quotes from your book. How commonplace is this that the White House will ask reporters to carry its water, if you will?
Oh yeah, I mean it's very common. I think it's not unique to this White House, though. I mean it's been going on for every administration, and I mean I just happened to sort of lower the curtain a little bit on what my experience was and how I came to write it originally about Darrell Issa. But look, that goes on, in pretty much every partisan office on both sides throughout town, and I guess for better or for worse, that's the price of doing business here. But the White House is certainly not immune, despite how pure they might have presented themselves when they first ran to get here.
Right, which leads me to this question on transparency and all these other things, ethics, and it won't be business as usual, and and we see the ambassadors are all, a lot of them are bundlers, former bundlers, and big campaign contributors to Obama. It's pretty much been business as usual as far as that goes. So how does this White House, in your experience, compare when it comes to openness, when it comes to transparency, when it comes to manipulation of the press?
Well, I mean, I think clearly, they're playing the game as hard as anyone. I think, what's unique about this administration is that they spent a good part of 2007 and 2008 saying they're going to be different and talking about change and really kind of presenting themselves as just a much purer version of the Washington as usual that they were running against. So, does that mean we hold them to a higher standard? Absolutely. So, I think that every time that they fall short on that, and I think they have on many, many occasions, you have to sort of put it all in light of the larger context, which begins, with their original message.
Well, Mark, let me ask you, the incestuous relationships that you talk about in your book, This Town, let me talk about the media. We do a lot of yakking and yabbing about the double standard in the media on this show, and it's documented. It's not just speculation. When it turns out that I think the brothers or the siblings of the president of ABC News and CBS News worked at the White House in capacities relating to Benghazi, and that people within those networks were reprimanded, at least on CBS, Cheryl Atkinson, for being overambitious on their reporting on Benghazi, etc. And this one's married to that one, and that one's married to this one that we don't even know about or the public doesn't know about. Again, how much of an influence does that have on what the public gets to hear and how they get to hear it?
Well, I think, first of all, the notion that this is a small town and that everyone's interconnected is not unique to this era. I think what's happened now is that, again, it's just become that much more amplified because you have, first of all, there's so much more media, and it's just so much easier for everyone to sort of become their own media entity, right? And in the case of CBS, you have the president of CBS News, David Rhodes, who's the brother of Ben Rhodes, who's the assistant deputy national security advisor. So, that's a unique situation. I didn't get into the Cheryl Atkinson thing, but I think, look, one of the big points of the book, and I think people on both sides are appreciating it, but especially on the right, because I think it's maybe more of a revelation, is that Washington is not as hopelessly divided as everyone says it is. It's, in fact, hopelessly interconnected. And this is a city where it's not so much there are Democrats and Republicans as it is there are millionaires and it is people who are doing business together, and even the yelling that you see on TV and on the blogs and stuff is kind of kind of a kabuki version of politics, and people are doing really, really well. And I think that the dysfunction and, frankly, the corruption that you see in this town is itself probably good for its own business while the rest of the country suffers.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're talking to Mark Leibovich. He is the author of a brand new book, This Town, 2 Parties and a Funeral, plus plenty of valet parking in America's Gilded Capital. Also the chief national correspondent for the New York Times Magazine here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let's talk about the scandals and the attacks that have been leveled on ISA. But this IRS thing, and in conjunction with Benghazi, in conjunction with the Justice Department going after journalists, they came boom, boom, boom.
Right.
If this had been happening under Bush, one of them or all of them, don't you think the media, don't you think we would have, for instance, yesterday the networks devoted 85 additional minutes to the royal baby, but did not report on the fact that the latest on the IRS scandal, which was that you had auditors talking about how people, how the man who actually wrote the enhanced rules or guidelines for going after conservative groups was at the White House 48 hours meeting personally with the president before he wrote that memo on those guidelines. I mean, if that was Bush and it was that situation, don't you think this would be a whole different world we're living in?
Maybe. I mean, I honestly don't know. I mean, a lot of people, I'm sure, have speculated on that and will speculate on it. I mean, I do think that in the last few months, obviously the White House has had some real challenges, as they'd say. But look, every time something like this happens, I mean, people are going to compare it sort of hypothetically to how it was under Bush, or how it would be under Bush, or how it would be under the next guy. But it's certainly a very very popular and very, very common lament you hear and complaint you hear, especially from the right.
Well, yeah, all right, and again, to make the point, I want to get back to the book in a second, but for instance, the portrayal of the Tampa Republican Convention as this almost this pro-rape convention, because of the remarks made by one congressman, which he took back and apologized for, et cetera, and the war on women, and I blame the Republicans for not fighting back, but nonetheless, who was the keynote speaker at the Democratic Convention? A man who was accused of, rape, sexual assault, exposing himself, an affair in the Oval Office with an intern, lying to a federal grand jury, being disbarred, being impeached. He's the hero. He's the god of the Democratic Convention and party. So, I mean, the hypocrisy knows no bounds, in my view.
Look, I mean, Bill Clinton, I think they would argue, and I'm not ducking your question, but I think they would argue that, look, when Bill Clinton was president, he was put through the ringer and attacked in the most personal of ways. And look, I don't, we can relitigate the Clinton years as much as you want, but no, I mean, look, I think what you have here, Steve, is just a massive noise machine. And what happens is, look, people sometimes take me to task, or just, because I happen to be the guy on the other end of the phone, for all the sins of the media, or all the alleged sins of the media, or all the alleged sins of the New York Times, or our editorial page, or what have you.
I didn't go there. Notice I didn't go there.
I know, but everyone else does. Now, look, I understand. I mean, we, in a weird way, people talk about the media as like a singular entity, and they talk about, news organizations as a single entity. And the only thing I can tell you is we're just not that organized. I mean, I've never been to a meeting in which we say, well, we're going to go after this today, we're going to say that today. I mean, I don't doubt that there's media bias. I just think that, look, the media is a huge, sprawling entity, and I have a hard enough time, making my own deadlines and writing my own stories, and hopefully, building my own reputation, and ideally, maybe even selling a book or two.
Well, I think you'll sell books without a doubt, because this stuff is interesting, and like I said, it's the political junkies, food. Let me ask you 2 more before I let you go.
Sure.
The fact of this book, or what this book shows me, is, it's convinced me more than ever. I can never run for political office, although people say it to me all the time. One, because every word I've ever said for 4 hours a day, for 5 days a week, for 30 years, all they need is 30 seconds worth taken out of context, and I'm done. So I know that. But also someone like the guy down the block from me, who's an accountant. He could never go to Washington. He could never make it. With a rare exception. If you're not connected to get into the Washington connected world, or maybe you have to be connected to that world to get into it in the first place, but you have to be connected on the state level, the local level, and then get connected on the Washington level. It's just almost impossible, right?
Well, I mean, there are barriers to entry. I mean, you can actually get elected to Congress, or it is possible to, even like, in this day and age, you can become a blogger, you can get on TV as a strategist or something. So, I mean, there is a kind of anarchy in the peanut gallery now. But I think what's interesting to me and what I've found just in writing and really sort of blowing the lid off Washington, if you want to put it that way, is just this is people left and right run against Washington, right, as this cesspool, as this swamp, and then they get here, and so often and more often than not, they settle into the place like it's a warm bath, and they never go home. I mean, our founders always sort of envisioned public service as something that people might devote a few years to and then go back to the farm and return to their communities. I mean, that doesn't happen anymore. People sort of punch their ticket to Washington, and if they can get here, if they can get a job title, they're going to be trading off it for their entire life, because that's the kind of wealth and that's the kind of self-service that's available for really, really cheap and not a lot of real work.
Right.
So that's sort of the city we've developed.
Absolutely. We're talking one more question for the author of This Town, Mark Leibovich, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Okay, this whole Trayvon Martin thing, George Zimmerman, the relationship or the ability of Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and the so-called civil rights groups like that, the NAACP, to dictate or to policy insofar as forcing an arrest and a trial down in Florida when the authorities really had no stomach for it, didn't see a case there. The prosecution, which almost everybody says was overzealous and charged way too high. And then, of course, the statement from the president, Trayvon, if I had a son, he would have looked like Trayvon, which I don't know how that's possible. If I had a daughter and something happened to a girl in Kansas City, and I said if I had a daughter, she'd look like me, or why? How is that possible? Anyway, and Eric Holder after the verdict saying I'm troubled by it. The prosecutor herself calling him a murderer after the verdict. Let's focus on Eric Holder though here and Barack Obama. African-American Attorney General, African-American President, weighing in like this on a case which many people say had no race in it, but it's been made racial, maybe by the President and the Attorney General, if by no one else. How does Sharpton and Jackson, how does their almost carte blanche or relationship, especially in Sharpton's case with Obama, and I would assume with Holder, how does that all play in Washington?
Well, I mean, look, I think what happens when you have a high-profile event like this is everyone, again, just sort of assumes their place in the noise machine. And I think, the fact that Al Sharpton works at MSNBC, for example, it's got to be uncomfortable for people who work there. I mean, I know people who, at any network, that's just like you have a newsmaker who's also the host of a show. But I think, look, we've seen, I wouldn't say we've seen this movie before. First of all, it's an individual tragedy. It's a personal tragedy. And
absolutely.
And I don't think anyone denies that. But I think, I guess maybe my personal grievance is, I'm trying to, I've been talking about, everyone's been talking about this for a week, and I don't know where this argument ever goes. And I think what's unique, obviously, is you have an African-American president and African-American attorney general.
Right, which is where I'm trying to take it. Yeah, and
right.
The relationship that we know the president has with Sharpton, and I'm just curious in the this town context, how that all plays into what we've seen happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'm not privy to their relationship or what they've been talking about, but we've proven sort of time and time again that these are the kinds of discussions. Race is not the kind of issue that's going to lend itself to rational discussion over the long period.
Right. All right. Listen.
That's a duck. I don't know.
No. Fine, Mark. And a very interesting conversation, and the book just as interesting. And it's called This Town by Mark Leibovich. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right. Chief national correspondent for the New York Times Magazine, and he did not write the cover story on Weiner. That would have been a bonanza. If he would have been the guy who wrote the cover story, that would have been like a double dose of, I don't know what. A double dose of something. And I could probably make a Weiner joke out of it, but I will not. I will refrain. I will use my head. Yes, I will not put that between us. And he said, thank you. And anyway, all right, I better go before this whole thing just explodes. And all right, we're coming back, folks, on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Meat Jam. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
Victoria Arbiter is joining me. She is live in New York, but she knows the royal life very well, having lived in Kensington Palace. Her dad, Dickie Arbiter, was the press secretary for the Queen for many, many years. So exciting. Just first, your reaction, Victoria.
Oh, I was just thrilled. I mean, I can't believe that we finally, after all this waiting, know that we have a boy. So my first thought, I have to say, was this is how brilliant a royal Kate is. There are women throughout British royal family history that have panicked over not being able to deliver a boy. And here we are, Kate did it first time. So it does mean, of course, the changes in the laws to succession conversation is over for another good 30 years or so. But we're celebrating and thrilled that Kate has had a healthy, bouncing baby boy.
All right, welcome back, folks. That woman whose father used to be an assistant to the Queen on CNN, it shows how brilliant Kate is. It shows how brilliant Kate Middleton is because she had a boy. You hear what she said? You understand how stupid this is? What a stupid comment that is to make? That Kate Middleton is smart and brilliant because she had a boy where other members of females in the royal family couldn't have a boy right away. So Kate is brilliant. She just put in her order for the boy. By the way, they named the boy George Alexander Louis, or Louis, I guess Louis. So he will be one day King George, possibly. And I jokingly alluded to the other day that, you know, he's going to be a king, he's going to be a prince. But I said, who knows, maybe he'll be gay, because I said Snooki prayed to have a gay biological son, a son who would be gay. Well, here we are, Huffington Post, hyping what may be the dumbest poll ever, according to Newsbusters. A survey claiming that a majority of Brits would react favorably if the son born to Prince William and Kate Middleton would come out as a homosexual in the future. The survey was conducted by the lesbian, gay, and bisexual advocacy group Stonewall. What kind of question is that to ask people? The kid's born that day, and you want to know if he comes out as an adult as gay, would you support him? Would you be happy? Dumbest poll ever. Could be the dumbest poll ever. I mean, it knows no bounds. And disgusting disrespect in Rio de Janeiro, while the Pope was talking, gays staged a kiss-in, kissing each other in front of the Pope, as close to the Pope as possible, which reminds me of what used to happen at St. Patrick's Cathedral during the Gay Pride Parade. The disrespect was immense. All right, but that's not all gays, a very small percentage. Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. NSA leaker Edward Snowden's weeks spent in limbo may soon be coming to an end. Today, a lawyer met with Snowden after Russian officials reportedly accepted his request for temporary asylum. Snowden is expected to leave the Moscow airport, where he's been holed up for almost a month. It remains unclear, though, where Snowden will go next. He remains a fugitive in the U.S., wanted on espionage charges for releasing highly sensitive information. Meanwhile, the House is expected to vote today on limiting the NSA's surveillance power. The once top-secret program has caused heated debate in Congress since Snowden released those details. NSA Director Keith Alexander made an emergency visit to Capitol Hill Tuesday, urging both House Democrats and Republicans to vote no on a plan proposed by Michigan Republican Justin Amash. That amendment would prevent the NSA's blanket collection of phone records, also known as metadata. Instead, the agency would only be allowed to gather specific information from individuals who are currently under investigation. Members of both parties have argued for more oversight.
I think that very clearly this program has gone off the tracks legally and needs to be reined in.
But Intelligence Committee members like Democrat Dutch Ruppersberger say the program is vital to pinpointing terrorist communications.
You know, what we're doing in the metadata program is finding a needle in a haystack. And you need the haystack in order to find the needle.
And in Brazil, Pope Francis continues his historic visit a day after he took some rest. Thousands of people massed on the beach to kick off World Youth Day and honor Pope Francis. The Pope spoke of a very specific concern he has for the young, saying that we are running the risk of having a generation that does not work. Young people in this moment are in crisis, the Pope said. Many of the demonstrators this week in Brazil are young. Also today, the Pope said Mass in Rio de Janeiro's Basilica, considered to be the nation's holiest site for Catholics. And disgraced former congressman and current New York City mayoral candidate Anthony Weiner is now apologizing for more explicit photos and messages and refusing to quit the mayor's race. A website posted those images and messages, which reportedly took place in 2012, a year after Anthony Weiner resigned from Congress. The New York Democrat stepped down in 2011 after admitting to sending nude photos of himself to several women. His wife, Huma Abedin, says she has forgiven her husband and stands by him. Still, the New York Times and other newspapers are now calling for Weiner to drop his bid for mayor. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, what does the future hold for baseball's highest paid player, Alex Rodriguez, as MLB's doping investigation widens? Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with political analyst Doug Schoen. What do celebrity sales pitches on Obamacare tell us about the implementation of the law? Schoen's answer next.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. the only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The Silver Polar Bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
And welcome back. Baseball's highest paid player could soon be banned from the game for life. A Major League executive tells CBS News that Alex Rodriguez will be suspended for using performance-enhancing drugs. Rodriguez and Milwaukee Brewers outfielder Ryan Braun were among several players linked to a now-closed anti-aging clinic in South Florida. That clinic was run by a man who is now cooperating with baseball and is said to have overwhelming evidence against A-Rod. And there is a new push from a few celebrities to help the White House gain more support for Obamacare. This comes as implementation troubles mount for the bill. And political analyst Doug Schoen tells Newsmax TV during an exclusive interview that this move is the equivalent of a Hail Mary pass.
Well, I think it's one of desperation. They've tried to sell the bill on its merits. I think they're throwing long bombs, and anybody and everybody who can help sell it is welcome.
This has been your Newsmax Now update for July 24th. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, hour number 3 of the Steve Malzberg Show, Wednesday edition. Hard to believe it's Wednesday already, but it is. Hump Day. I love that Camel commercial. I don't even know what it's for, which makes it probably a bad commercial or makes me a bad consumer. But anyway, the Camel walks through the office and he's trying to talk to the people. Hey, Bill, hey, come on, you can hear me. You know you can hear me. What day is it? What day is it? What day is it? And finally one of the women say, Hump Day. Anyway, he goes, yoo-hoo! So Detroit is bankrupt. And the city council, which helped contribute to the bankruptcy of Detroit, instead of, I don't know, concentrating on getting them out of bankruptcy, instead of concentrating on making sure city services are run properly, instead of concentrating on getting the police response time down from 17, 18 minutes, I don't know if that's really a priority for the city council members of Detroit, because the Detroit City Council yesterday unanimously passed a resolution. You know what that resolution called for? A state bailout, a federal bailout, I don't know, anything dealing with the citizens of Detroit and their financial predicament? No. This was calling for a federal investigation to see whether civil rights charges are warranted against George Zimmerman. That's right. By the way, here's a little hint for the clueless City Council of Detroit. I'll whisper this. I don't want to say it too loud. There is a federal investigation to see if civil rights charges will be filed. We've known that for about, 10 days since the verdict was read. We've heard it from the president. We've heard it from Eric Holder. So, I hate to burst your bubble, but there already is what you're calling for, you idiots. I mean, can you imagine this? This is what's important to the people, the City Council of Detroit. The resolution, sponsored by Councilwoman. As a matter of fact, Chad, who I know listens to every waking moment of this show, let's get Councilwoman Joanne Watson. She sparked a discussion over the need for city leaders and others to focus more on violence in Detroit, which somehow leads them to Trayvon Martin in Sanford, Florida, I would guess. Anyway, so there you go. There you go. Wait a minute. Let's see. Yeah, sponsor. Yeah, she sponsored it. She sponsored it. She said, though, as someone else did, that we need to have the same level of outrage with respect to the black-on-black crime that takes place in our community. Okay. Let's try to get Councilwoman Joanne Watson and ask her what the heck is the City Council of Detroit doing. Now, folks, I want to play you a clip from the president. This is all part of a report, actually, but here's a clip from the president. I want you to listen to cut number 13. Okay, 13.
I think the African American community is also not naive in understanding that statistically, somebody like Trayvon Martin was probably statistically more likely to be shot by a peer than he was by somebody else. So folks understand the challenges that exist for African American boys. But they get frustrated, I think, if they feel that there's no context for it, and that context is being denied. And that all contributes, I think, to a sense that if a white male teen was involved in the same kind of scenario, that from top to bottom, both the outcome and the aftermath might have been different.
Wrong again, my good president. Let me take you back to a story from 2009, and I want to give credit. This is from CNSnews.com. Bob Parks found this story. Let's let you hear a little bit of it. Here are some more people reinforcing Obama's idea. This, I believe, is David Brooks, conservative columnist for the New York Times. Yeah, right. And Tim Wise, who's, written a book on race, which is so cockamamie in my view, you don't even need to hear it. But here's more. If this had been reversed, and of course, George Zimmerman was not white, but if a white a teenager was killed by a black man, it would be different. And here they are reinforcing what Obama just said. Cut 14.
I think if the young man had been a white kid and the older guy had been a black guy, it would be a different story. And the president said that, and I think that happens to be true.
I think here's the reality. We have to be honest that what the president just said about it might have been different. Well, I can tell you it would have been different.
Oh, yeah? It would have been different. Well, let's go back to 2009, and let's go to cut number 15.
Scott breathed a huge sigh of relief as he left the courtroom.
I just want to say thank you for people who believed in me, who stood by me. I still have my regrets for the Savini family. I mean, it's still an unfortunate situation for them. I am happy that at least this chapter of it's over.
As deliberations dragged on over 2 days and the jury asked for testimony to be read back, Scott admits he didn't know how this would turn out.
I was nervous, of course. I mean, you never know which direction this whole thing is going to turn, so I have no idea. But it worked out what I feel. I feel that justice was served today.
Servini's family members say justice wasn't served. They say Christopher was murdered in cold blood and that he had never been in trouble, and Scott acted as judge, jury, and executioner.
And the message is that we can all go out and get guns and shoot anybody that we feel that is threatening us, and lie about the fact my son never threatened anybody. He was a gentle child. His nature was gentle. He was a good person, and he was never, ever arrested for anything and has never been in trouble. He was 16 years and 4 months old, and he was slaughtered.
Okay, and he was slaughtered. Roderick Scott, who you heard from first, was found not guilty. He's black. The father of the young boy who was killed, 16-year-old boy, was white. Let's go to cut 16, shall we?
Scott says he acted in self-defense when he confronted Servini and 2 others, saying they were stealing from neighbors' cars. He told them he had a gun and ordered them to freeze and wait for police. Scott says he shot Servini twice when the victim charged toward him, yelling that he was going to get Scott.
How could this happen to a beautiful, sweet child like that? All he wanted to do was go home. And then for them to say that he was saying, please don't kill me, I'm just a kid. And he just kept on shooting him.
Scott says the last 7 months have been difficult for him and his family. If he could go back to the events in the early morning hours of April 4th, there are things he says he would do differently.
If it meant a person not losing their life, absolutely. Would I have still tried to stop what was going on? That I would have done. But if I knew ahead of time that I could do something to prevent someone losing their life, I didn't want anyone to lose their life. So.
Now, two things. One, it just shows how wrong Barack Obama and Tim Wise and David Brooks and everybody else. Oh, if the races were reversed. And number two, how come we don't all know the name Roderick Scott? And I don't even, to be honest, let me see. If I could find the name of the young man, I should, who was killed. I don't even have the name, I'm sorry to say. But, you know, where was the network coverage? How come we weren't all on pins and needles? Oh, this black guy shot a white kid. You never heard about it? Of course not. Of course not. It's only when it's the other way around. And Zimmerman isn't even white. They thought he was white. And I believe that some people thought he was Jewish and white when they heard the name. And that's what set them off in the first place. Then they found out he was Hispanic and not Jewish. Didn't stop them, but that's what spurred them on in the first place. Oh, if it was a white kid shot, it would have been very different. Yeah, really. Really. We didn't even hear about this case. We didn't even hear about it. So, I just always like to point out when the president is right on target. All right, folks, we're coming back with our friend John Funn. President, Hypocrite 101, and the media, too. Turns out the president, in 2004, when he was a senator in Illinois, sponsored legislation in the Illinois State Senate to make the Stand Your Ground laws stricter. That's right. Blame it on Obama on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
Obamacare. President Obama's massive health care law is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already the New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores, or get our special offer at Obamacare911.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com.
Guys, you've heard about Ageless Male, the natural supplement that helps boost testosterone levels within normal, healthy ranges. But now, the best testosterone product is even better. New and improved Ageless Male can help you feel more like you used to in your active life and in your romantic life. Because our upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase your drive, desire, and performance. That's right, guys. Ageless Male has been clinically shown to boost performance. Cancel your plans this weekend. You're staying in. If you're ready to recapture the drive from your youth, now is the time to try Ageless Male because it's available risk-free. But you must call now. Just call 1-800-460-9790. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
You know what I just thought of? Yesterday was it National Hot Dog Day? Which makes it National Weiner Day. And Weiner picked Weiner Day to come out and be a hot dog. I don't know. Anyway, all right, joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is our friend, Newsmax contributor, John Fund. Hello, John.
Pleasure, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you. Usually I say hello and you're sitting right here and we shake hands and we converse, but this is the next best, I guess. All right, I want to talk to you because we just did a whole story of a 2009 incident where a young 16-year-old white boy was gunned down by a black man who said it was self-defense, and that trial didn't get much notoriety, and that man was found not guilty by a jury, and the family was outraged. It was, almost the reverse had George Zimmerman been actually white. But I want to talk about what the president said, and you wrote about this at National Review. The president last Friday, when he came to the briefing room and he gave his experiences on race, etc., the lecture, the excuses for violence in the black community. He also talked about stand your ground laws. And you revealed, and of course it got a lot of play on this show and on other conservative sites and whatnot, but the media is not going to tell you. He himself, Barack Obama, State Senator Obama, helped strengthen stand your ground laws in Illinois, correct?
9 years ago, when he was still in the state Senate, voting on everything from license renewal fees to bureaucratic reorganizations, a bill came up saying, we have a stand your ground law in Illinois, and it's worked pretty well, but we need to make it better. We need to strengthen it because right now what often happens is people will file civil complaints, apart from any criminal complaints that are lodged against them if they're shot or injured in someone's home or near someone's home. So we need to protect people who have successfully used stand your ground defenses from civil complaints from being sued for money. And the vote was 56-0. It's the Democratic Senate, and one of the 56 votes, this time he wasn't present voting. He wasn't dodging the issue by voting present. He voted for it. That was Barack Obama.
Yeah, and of course, I believe he co-sponsored it, and you also you were alluding to the Born Alive Protection Act that he voted present on all those times in the same Illinois State Senate. So of course, this isn't going to get a lot of play, but the hypocrisy is just amazing. And what did you think as you saw the president start this, and as he progressed, and then as he went on to talk about the acknowledgement in the black community of high crime and violence within the community, but then attributed it, at least in great part, to what he called a violent history. I mean, I've asked this question before. Was he talking about Jim Crow? Was he talking about slavery that he attributes to the violence in the black community today?
Who can guess?
I like that answer.
All we know is the president has a constant looping script, and it goes on over and over again, and there's certain themes that he keeps returning to. And one of them is his implied statement that the criminal justice system isn't fair. We need to be skeptical about it, and we especially need to be skeptical whenever race is involved. And I think the president ignored several things. One is, in Florida, stand your ground is actually invoked far more frequently by African Americans than their presence in the population. Over 1/3 of the stand your ground defenses in Florida in the last decade were by African Americans, even though they're only 15% of the population there. In addition, it turns out that African Americans who use the stand your ground defense have a better rate of being declared innocent than Caucasians do. So the criminal justice system is operating in a relatively colorblind way. African Americans use it more frequently, and they're more frequently successful using it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking to John Fund, Newsmax contributor here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let's turn our attention to Obamacare. He was on the road. He spoke for, the president did over an hour and 10 minutes, or about an hour, 6 minutes today. Everything came up, including Obamacare. He almost dared the Republicans to defund it and close down the government over it. But I think something that we've been talking about more and more on this show is the mining of data on all of us that will be that will be given to various agencies throughout the government. Our information is almost certain, or very likely to be to end up in the hands that we don't want it to end up in.
Absolutely, and what the president has once again shown is he's just completely out of touch with the American people. And look, we want jobs, and all the president does is it's like trying to start a flooded engine in your car. You don't think about putting new fuel in it. You don't think about taking it to a new mechanic. You just keep flooding the engine with basically hot air and old gas.
Yeah, and you're right. He is out of touch, and that's why I think it's a winning issue for the Republicans. Do you think, as a couple of Republican senators have said, that it's worth fighting for, and they should defund it or parts of it, and let the chips fall where they may? Because I've been told on air by several Republican congressmen that Boehner and the leadership in the House really doesn't have the stomach for that.
Well, we just saw a poll that came out today, and it shows further complete collapse in Obamacare support. Ron Brownstein wrote about this in the National Journal. It's lost a lot of momentum just since the first of the year. Support among moderate and conservative Democrats, I'm sure you saw this poll from the Washington Post, Steve.
Yes, I did.
Went from 72% among moderate to conservative Democrats, who are over half of all Democrats, down to 48%. In my view, if not now, when?
Right.
In other words, if you really mean it and you want to use it as for more than a fundraising letter, if not now, when? I think if the Republicans basically say to the American people, we are going to fund all of government, with one exception, Obamacare, which is going to destroy your health care, maybe take away your right to see the doctor you want, contrary to what the president promised. If they just say, this is about Obamacare and nothing else, all Obama has to do is sign the law. He gets all of the money he wants for all of his programs except for Obamacare. I think you can win that debate.
I do, too. And, John, good way to end it. I'm up against a hard break. I thank you, sir. Very interesting conversation as always.
Thanks. Pleasure, Steve.
Take care, John. My pleasure. John Fund, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, a very interesting story, how a former NFL prospect changed his life in one summer. We'll talk about it. Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today. In this free offer, we are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th birthday commemorative edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax magazine every month.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. You know, you probably don't know the name Tim Christian, but there was a time when Tim Christian thought that the whole world would know his name because he felt he was destined for the National Football League. He was star offensive lineman at Ball State in the early 90s, 6'3", 310 pounds, and people expected him to move on to the NFL. But little thing happened on the way to the NFL. He didn't make it. And when it started becoming apparent that he wouldn't make it, his world collapsed. You know, I don't want to say literally and figuratively, but as much as it could collapse, and he still survived because his stature fell, his esteem fell, he fell into depression, his weight became a problem, and but he turned himself around. And I love a story like this because here's a guy who's really, you know, not looking for anything. He's for 20 years he's been a businessman, and he's now a director of facilities for Office Max. He's married. He has 2 kids, and this is a story that I think everybody needs to hear because we all go through. Maybe not making the NFL isn't what we all go through, but we all go through not getting the job, not getting the girl, not getting the the car, not getting something. Or losing a family member or a relationship that could propel us into the same situation that Tim was in. And Tim, welcome. Good to talk to you, sir.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's my pleasure. Tell us a little bit about what happened. Why didn't you make the NFL? And when it became apparent that you wouldn't, tell us how your problems began to snowball.
Steve, about 22 years ago, 1991 to be exact, I became an NFL prospect, and it was really a culmination of a dream. And I had been a walk-on at Ball State. I had a chip on my shoulder that I addressed by getting a scholarship. And then I focused my attention to going on to the NFL. And I spent 5 years at Ball State, and then in '91 I became a prospect, and I could see that peak, the opportunity right in front of me. It was amazing. And then '92 was my last year. I was a top 30 offensive guard, and had a decent year, and had agents contacting me and contacting my family. The NFL teams were contacting my coaches and even my high school coaches. And then I signed with an agent in late November, and basically was planning to go to the Combine. There was a good chance of being invited to that in Indianapolis in '92. And when that invitation didn't come, it seemed that everything started to change. And my agent was one that had a lot of experience. Charles Mann and Andre Reed and Mel Gray were a couple of his big players. And when he started telling me that teams started to change their mind about, my becoming an NFL football player, I started to become depressed. And by that time, I had fully invested my heart in my dream, not only to become a player, but also to help my parents out, and really burdened myself with the thought of not only becoming a player and realizing a dream, but also help my parents out.
Well, let me just ask you, Tim, if I may, what turned them off to you? What happened? Anything in particular?
When you're at under that microscope, the little things start to can really change the course of the ship, if you will, pretty dramatically. I think I had more of a B or C type season, and played against some really good competition. And I can't put my finger on precisely what it was, but little things I think impacted their decisions. And really, Steve, by January, I was in all-out depression, despair. I felt my world caving around me. And as 22-year-old kid, 2 years invested in the process of being a prospect, and then my agent, who had a lot of experience, who I trusted, was telling me, "Hey, for some reason, teams are not as attracted to you as before." And to be honest, was really my parents were really hurt by what I was going through, and some tragedy had been in their lives, from suicide to deaths of my brother or my mom's brothers when she was younger. And basically, they feared for me, and didn't take anything for granted. And one night, I was talking to my mom, and she said, "You know what? We don't know who you should turn to," and she was in tears, but said the only person that can help you is the Lord. And honestly, I didn't even look that direction. Back then, my idol was football. That's all I wanted. That's all I cared about. And I tell you, Steve, probably a day after that, I was on my knees. I had given up. I was crying on my way to class. You get a picture of a 22-year-old kid, 6'3", 300 pounds, walking to class with a red face and tears streaming down his eyes.
And the fact that you're walking to class didn't help matters, because these are the people that you feel you let down, that you're embarrassed to be around because you feel you should. They all felt you'd be in the NFL and you weren't. So how do you make that transition to faith? Who got you there? How did it happen that you did turn to your faith to sustain you and basically turn your life around?
My mother pleaded with me to turn that direction. In my stubbornness, I did. And I didn't feel a miraculous excitement or anything after I prayed, but I just felt calm. I felt okay with what was happening. And up until that point in my life, I wasn't that mature, And so I got through the draft without any calls. I had the Giants and Bills and Browns interested in me as a rookie free agent. And one by one, they dropped off, and the gates were shutting. I graduated from Ball State, went back home to Kendallville. And then by mid-June, I got that call that I guess I expected, but I was dreading, and that was from my agent saying it's time to hang your cleats up.
So that was the end of football for you. Okay,
Yep.
so no football, definitely not going to make it in the NFL. That dream is where it was fading away, and it began. It was, the writing was on the wall. Now the ink was dry, and that was it, and there was no turning back. So what do you do?
I was at a crossroads, and I was afraid that if I didn't do something, that I would revert back to depression. I had, at this point, had been to a Bible study. I could feel some energy that I never felt before, and I got real excited about creating a life that I would be excited about. And literally the next day I started a diet. And this is June of '93. I started a diet. I started reading and learning about a variety of different subjects. Within 8 to 9 weeks, I had lost over 100 pounds.
And that is amazing, because we should tell the folks that while you were playing football, you could sit down at a fast food, at an Arby's, and eat eight sandwiches, eat a dozen donuts in one sitting. And you hear this about, football players or athletes who are huge. You hear about, having a breakfast the size of maybe a week's worth of breakfast that the normal person would eat. So you changed all that.
I literally every aspect of my diet, my work habits, everything, I turned upside down. I did a 180, and I have to be honest. I saw an Arby's commercial this past week, and my mouth was watering. It's been 20 years. But you know what? I was on fire to change, and honestly, the experience of the gift of being a pro prospect, the bigger gift, the unimaginable gift of faith. And then turning around and then changing that quickly and then sustaining that over 20 years is what Behaviors of Change is all about.
We're talking to Tim Christian, former college football player, who changed his life after his disappointment here on the Steve Malzberg Show. I thought that this was a wonderful story. Let me ask you, how old are your kids?
I have two beautiful daughters. One is 8.5, and the other one's going to be 6 in just about 5 weeks.
Well, God bless you. I guess football's not an option. But do you sit and lament what could have been? I mean, I'm not saying you fall into depression. I'm not saying you're not blessed. You don't believe you're blessed to have your family and doing what you're doing. But do you sit and still look back and say, if the Giants had called, if this team had called, I mean, what it would have been like, what path you would have been led down? Or do you just consider the wonderful family you have something you would not have had if you had taken a different path?
The latter.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I've had a couple of really huge gifts in my life. One was my faith experience, and then the second is my family. I can't imagine if I would have played football and went a different course. I can't imagine having my family and my life that I have today. I would never change that for anything.
Yeah. And what advice do you give people who might be, like I said at the beginning in your introduction, it's going to be 1 in a million who's thinking they could get into the NFL and they're disappointed, but disappointed in any regard, at any point in their life. They lost their job, as so many millions of Americans have undergone here, and they can't get one to replace it. They have to take a lesser job. They're losing their homes. Maybe they're going through divorce. Whatever the life-changing occurrence is, you suggest that they turn to faith no matter what the faith is, correct?
Every time, Steve. Faith unlocked so many things in my life that I had not focused on before. Once I went to Bible study the first time at Ball State before I graduated and experienced that, and then my brother was a huge influence on me, my brother Al, who passed away 4 years ago. Tremendous, humble spirit. And faith has everything to do with that. Is your core, if that is your rock, you can get through anything. And then, everybody has a story. One of the things I've learned in the book, the authoring part of this whole experience, was everybody has a story, and we all have to be humble enough to recognize that. And then we all have something burning inside our heart, and don't ignore that whatever that is, and just go for it. And if you do experience a hardship, remember those two things, that we all have a story, reflect on that, and then really dive into your own heart and think about the things that are important and think about opportunities that may lie ahead of you.
All right, so the book, the book is Behaviors of Change. I should have mentioned that over and over again. Behaviors of Change by Tim Christian, and that is available at bookstores everywhere.
It's on the internet, a variety of channels, Amazon.com, Books a Million,
okay.
BarnesandNoble.com. It's at Chicago suburban bookstores.
Great.
And you can find it at timothy-christian.com.
Timothy-christian.com. Again, the name of it is Behaviors of Change, and this fascinating story is documented in that book. And I thank you very much, Tim, and best of luck with the book and with the rest of your life.
Hey, Steve, thank you very much. I really appreciate having me on.
My pleasure. Take care. Tim Christian, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I was brain free, so I want to give just due to the book, Behaviors of Change by Tim Christian. And it's really an inspiring story, as you have ascertained by the brilliant interview conducted by me with him. All right, we have one final segment left in the show, the Wednesday edition. We're coming back on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful, it's being banned by professional sports organizations, but for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-9821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
Attention, if you've been classified as a high-risk driver due to DUI, DWI, or tickets for aggressive driving and are required to get expensive and hard-to-find SR22 auto insurance, then you must listen to this message because we can help. We're the largest insurance company in the U.S. specializing in SR22 auto insurance and focused on serving the needs of customers classified by the state as high-risk drivers. We help people get back on their feet by providing easy-to-get, low-cost SR22 insurance that anyone can afford. If you need SR22 auto insurance, or if you have it now and are paying too much, you need to call us today for your free quote at 800-836-4606. Our specialists are standing by waiting for your call. We understand people make mistakes, and we're here to help by making SR22 insurance easy to get and affordable for everyone. The call and quote are free. Call us now at 800-836-4606. That's 800-836-4606. Again, 800-836-4606.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream. Streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my next story here speaks to you don't know who you're dealing with. Here's a case of a Houston pro-George Zimmerman rally. By the way, the latest rumor? Here's the latest rumor. And I addressed this with Mark O'Mara the other day. One of those, a reverend in Florida, I mentioned this to O'Mara, Zimmerman's attorney, said, how do we know it was really George Zimmerman who helped that family out of the van, out of the SUV? The family was going to have a press conference today, but they canceled it. They canceled it. You want to bet it was because of death threats? They don't want to put their face out there, their kids' faces out there, and praise George Zimmerman because they're afraid for their life? That's how sick it is. But that's why they say, I always said there's no documentation of a Tea Party rally where people have been violent or have gone out, said derogatory things about blacks or anything else. But I said, so what if someone in the crowd does say something? How do you know they're even a real Tea Party person? How do you know they're not a plant? Well, we have evidence reportedly of a plant here. You have a pro-Zimmerman rally and a woman holding up a sign saying, "We're racist and proud." Okay? Little problem. This woman, according to GatewayPundit.com, is a woman named Renee Vaughn. Former from Austin, who worked for a far-left environmental group, the Texas Campaign for the Environment. So apparently, she's a plant. She's not pro-Zimmerman. She's a left-wing person holding up a sign to make the people at the event look like racists. That's why you have to be careful. That's why you can't believe everything you hear and everything you're told. Okay, let's go to Don Lemon. I'm really getting tired of Don Lemon, African-American, openly gay, anchor on CNN, but he has no axe to grind. He has no point of view. No, he's right down the middle like the rest of CNN. Yeah, right. Okay, so here he is with Ben Ferguson, talk show host, conservative, and they're talking about he's talking about Ben Ferguson's opinion can't be right, or Ben Ferguson's opinion on race. You got to remember, Ben Ferguson is coming from a point of view of privilege. Now, if you're white in this country, what you say about race really doesn't count because you're privileged. As if, and that's a racist statement. All whites are privileged? Give me a break. Here's cut number 2.
But you're at a place in society.
Well, I came from poverty, so I don't think I'm entitled.
Yeah, but it's still you still have a certain entitlement as a white person that many people of color don't have. You don't see that?
When I look at where I grew up, and I grew up in a community surrounded by poverty, and I was a minority, I don't think I had any extra advantage.
Scratch that. I should say a place of privilege. I'll wrap, producers. Hang on. I should say a place of privilege, not necessarily a place of entitlement. And you're filtering it through a place of privilege that you don't understand. Your privilege does not allow you to see certain biases in certain circumstances in society.
Oh, so a white person now commenting on a racial matter, according to Don Lemon, sees things through this privileged, point of view, and because they're privileged, they don't understand that they're privileged, and they can't see that they're privileged, so their point of view, they can't even understand that they're seeing it through this biased, privileged point of view. So what's Don Lemon saying? That maybe whites' views on race shouldn't matter, or have to be taken with a grain of salt, or they should have an asterisk next to it, because, after all, whites are privileged. Even someone who grew up in poverty is privileged simply because they're white. Give it a rest, Don. Enough of you. I'm so fed up with you and your politicking and again, if you want to say that you've got a point of view and you're promoting it, fine. That you have an opinion and it's your opinion, fine. But don't spew this garbage and this this advocacy for gay marriage or whatever the issue is. If it's a black issue, a gay issue, rah rah rah, and then say, "Oh no, I have no point of view. Oh no, you're white. You got privilege. You don't know. You don't even know you got privilege." And so whatever you say has to be in that context. How does CNN let them get away with this? Because CNN is remaking itself in its own image. That's what I keep saying. That's why they'll keep not doing so good. Okay. I don't know if I have time. Mika Brzezinski. You know the thing with Walmart? They're kicking him out of Washington, D.C. They're keeping him out unless they pay an elevated minimum wage compared to every other business, right? The people in Washington want the jobs. Here's Mika Brzezinski talking to an economist. Here's cut 3.
Brian Shackman, how are Walmart's profits? How are they doing?
They're doing very well. I mean,
really?
Listen, this
Can they afford to pay people $12.50 an hour?
The answer is yes and no.
Okay.
The truth is their entire business model is based on low-wage workers.
Oh,
They have a relatively low-margin business, and so they have over $100 billion a quarter in revenue. But if they had to increase their wages like that in all their businesses, it would pretty much wipe out their profits. There's no doubt about it.
So it would wipe out their profits if they had to pay that increased wage. Oh, Mika doesn't like that because Mika doesn't care if a business makes profit. They're not there to make a profit. Here's cut 4.
Our business model is based on paying people a wage that they cannot live on. $8.50 an hour, is it? $8.25? That's a joke. Come on. Who disagrees with that? Does anybody here at the table?
No, but communities want those jobs.
Yeah. Up next, new research shows why. Yes, Joe?
Not only do communities want those jobs, there are a lot of young workers that not only want those jobs, but need those jobs.
We'll take this up in just a moment.
We'll take this up in just a moment. You couldn't see it. If you're watching at Newsmax TV, you saw it. You should have seen her face like, what? People want these jobs? Yeah, $8.50 an hour? People need jobs because your hero, Barack Obama, has put us in that position. But kids, part-time workers, that's not a bad salary and a bad wage. On the Steve Malzberg Show.